Sir Winston Churchill, made a real famous speech back in 1941. And he said this. I was playing it this morning on my iPad, and I was listening to it. It was encouraging. And he had that British, hello, it's like this, And he said, we shall never surrender. We will never give up. Man, I listened to that and I just said, oh God, may it be the theme of our own hearts, that we cry that out as much as what's in us and say, never, never, never shall we give up. The very interesting character of a man actually who in the darkest hour of England and France's life, when the world was being drawn into this horrible dark black hole of hell, death, and destruction that we simply now refer to as World War II. He gave this speech that has inspired men and women for 69, I believe it is, years. And all of a sudden, this little short British man, had been a military man, spoke to the airwaves, and when he did, he was drawing America into the battle. If you listen to the speech, you'll even hear him talk about it. He never mentions the name, but he sure was pleading. He was giving it all he could to bring us closer to a reality of this war that was destroying, because Hitler had come to the point now he was going to attack England. And if you listen to this, I listened to 10 minutes of it this morning. It made me want to just jump up and salute. But what happened was this. Sir Winston Churchill became a door of hope in the valley of weeping and destruction. He became a door of hope because he, at that point, pleaded out of his heart for the British people not to be discouraged, the little island there to not be overwhelmed with what was about to happen. The man cried out, and he became a voice of hope. What is hope? Hope is the confident expectation that what God says, he will do. What I'm going to give you today is a simple message. We are to increase, not to diminish. We are to bring hope. We're people who ought to bring hope to the world. In Hosea chapter 2, verse 14, 15, the very prophetic word by the prophet Hosea is there of what I just talked about. God said, in the valley of Achor, I will give as a door of hope. The valley of weeping, the valley of tears, the valley of crying, I will make it a valley of hope. A door of hope. What is the valley of Achor? How did it come about? Back in the book of Joshua chapter 7, Israel had defeated Jericho. God told all the people of Israel to take all the spoils of Jericho and give them back to him. It was a type of first fruits. And if they gave him the first victory, fruits, he would give them the spoils of the next conquest, the next battles that they were about to happen. And this one guy who said, God doesn't need all this wealth. God has everything. Achan's attitude was, of course, one of greed and one of distrust of God. He distrusted God. And we do the same thing when we try to spiritualize or rationalize our way through what is really our way of saying we don't trust God. We are the door of hope, saints, to a nation and to the world right now that is in deep trouble. There's no doubt about it. China, their finances are starting to unravel. All last week, the stock market in China was down. Inflation is rising in China, Spain, France. Many of these countries right now are going through some of the roughest, Greece, some of the roughest economic times and disruptions of of life that really has been known in a long time, saints. 80 some years. But listen what this prophet now, he comes and he says, so we got to know the story. That's why I'm telling you. We do the same thing when we don't trust God. We hold on to things because we don't trust God. We don't think God can really take care of us. So Achan stole some things dedicated to God, and when he did, 36 people were killed in the next battle, the battle of the city of Ai. And so when Joshua heard that what was happening and the 36 people were killed, the Bible says he tore his clothes and he repented once he heard what Achan had done. And Achan was exposed. And then the Bible says he and his family were taken to the valley of Achor. And there in the valley of Achor, Achan, his family, his children were killed. Israel ordered it, Joshua ordered it, and they were killed right there. And that's why it became the valley of weeping, because of that death. And because of his rebellion, which caused 36 people to lose their life just because of what he did. And Hosea, years and years later, comes along, Hosea chapter 2, and the prophet later tells Israel what God was giving them. He said, instead of it being a valley of tears and weeping, God's going to turn it around and make it to you, Israel, a valley of hope. How many of you know most of us today that are born again could testify that we were in the valley of weeping and tears and came to the door of hope? How many of you know we need to be optimistic people today? Come on. There is a way, there is a way I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I can do all things. Remember now, things means anything. Things is things. What's a thing? A thing is the thing. Anything's a thing. I can do all things through what? Through who? Who does what? He didn't make you weak. He strengthens you to do all things. Christ in me, the hope of glory. I love what Proverbs 24:16 says. For a just man falleth 7 times, but rises up again. Come on. Remember old Winston? Winston said, never, never, never. While he rolled his little sawed-off cigar in his mouth and his bulldog sat beside him. Winston had a bulldog, and the reason he said that a bulldog's nose is tilted backwards, he said so that when he bites you, he can hold on and breathe. How many of you understand that this old guy is that never surrender? You say, Lord, never will I give up, because I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And the hope of glory is it's Christ in me. I'm a door of hope to a people who are hopeless. We're the door of hope. Come on. People are losing hope because they're losing their jobs. They're losing money. They're losing things, houses and foreclosures. They're losing their mind. People are losing hope because they have had the hope in the wrong things, like Achan. Instead of having hope in God and becoming hope for others. How many of you say, God, it's time to increase and not diminish while I'm here in Babylon? How many of you one day will be out of Babylon? But for right now, let's marry them all. Let's move in, buy houses. Let's take over. Let's bring hope to people that don't got no hope. How many of you want to bring some hope to your relatives this week? Will you stand to your feet? How many of you like to bring some hope this week and say, I'm going to bring some hope for my family. I'm going to bring hope to those that I love. Come on.